So me and Hila never had a very conventional relationship. The way that we make a living, the things that we've done to get by, everything that we've done together has been pretty bizarre. When I first met Hila, I was in a pretty dark place. I had an anxiety disorder and socializing was extremely difficult for me. And this story is about the one brave moment I had in the midst of all my anxiety that changed my life forever. Well, like I said, me and Hila's life has been pretty bizarre, and the way we met is no exception. Because me and Hila met at the Holocaust Museum. When we tell people this story, I think most people is a mixture between shock and disbelief. Mm-hmm. They always love it though. Yeah. But it's true. It's true. Me and Hila met and fell in love at a Holocaust museum. I'm not really sure where to start this story because I feel like I need to give a little backstory to kind of frame where I was at the time. I was in the middle of college and I was having a very serious existential crisis where I was super anxious and super depressed, like generalized anxiety disorder. Like I was crippled by it and I had a hard time socializing with people at the time because I was just so anxious in my head all the time. It was probably the worst time of my life. And I was already planning to do this birthright trip for like half a year already. But I was so messed up in my head that I honestly didn't want to go. And I thought about canceling it because I didn't think that I could deal with the social interactions and just being around people while I was in such a bad headspace. Right before I went off to college, I started having really severe panic attacks and I was pretty sure that I was losing my mind. There were points when I wouldn't sleep for days on end. And it took all of my energy and concentration just to pretend to be normal on the inside. Most people thought of me back then as a relaxed, kickback guy. But underneath, I was suffering most of the time. It's taken me a full decade to get to a normal place since then, and I'm still grappling with some of the issues I had. But the choice to go to Israel despite my overwhelming desire to stay at home and feel safe is what led me to the path of recovery. Because when I met Hila, everything in my life started to get better. I don't know, something in me was like, just don't miss this opportunity. Like, you feel like shit. It's probably going to be awkward and you're going to hate it, but you can't like miss this opportunity to go there because you're not going to get to go again. So just go suffer through it and do it. So I ended up going regardless, even though I really, really honestly didn't feel like going at all. Now you're asking, what is birthright? Which is kind of the setting for this whole story. What is birthright to you, Hila?
To me, I was in the army in Israel because it's mandatory and everyone has got to do it. There's different ways you could do the army, like different kinds of jobs. You can have like a daily thing where you go, it's like a 9 to 5 thing, and then you come back home every day, and it really feels like a job. And I did that for the first month, and I really hated it. It's like a shitty job that you don't even get paid for. So I applied for like a change of job or base. I don't know how to say it, and it's a pretty weird process where you just get something randomly, like you don't know what you're gonna get. It was in a base next to Jerusalem in Ramallah.
Ooh.
And
what about, so Ramallah, if you guys don't know, is like one of the most dangerous cities in Jerusalem. It's just like a ton of terrorists there.
Yeah.
You take the wrong street down Ramallah, boy, it'd be your last wrong turn.
You don't take the wrong street.
It's that bad?
Yeah. It was like a weekly thing where you go, you spend the whole week there, and then you get to go back home for the weekend. And sometimes you also stay the weekends. Like every 3 weeks you stay the weekend or something like that. I never heard of Birthright. And then some people around there told me you can take this trip and it's just a free vacation for a whole week. And like the army is cool with it. Like they're sending you there.
That's crazy.
So I was like, what?
Best deal ever for everybody. Yeah.
So that's how I had no idea what it was gonna be. It was just like a free vacation around Israel with some American tourists.
American cuties. Some beanie slinging American hotties. Some thick boys. Did they tell you about the thick boys?
No.
They didn't mention that? That's weird.
Joining the army in the beginning is really difficult. It's like a real shock. They really grind you all day. You get maybe 5 hours of sleep at best in tents, and you're just all day running around doing stuff. And then I remember the first weekend that I went back home, I was just at my parents' house, and all of a sudden thinking about the time was like such a luxury. Like, I had the whole day to do whatever I want. You also don't make a lot of money when you're in the army, so for a long time I was working on the weekends. So it was pretty intense schedule to go back home and then have 2 days of weekend, and also try to manage to do some shifts at work to get some money. And so when I heard I could go on a week vacation, all paid, that was like a true miracle. You get a week off from work or army, all paid for. I didn't ask any questions. I was just, yes, I'll go.
So for me, birthright is this really weird thing. From people outside, it's weird. From inside, it's still weird. There's rich Jews in Europe, UK, Canada, US, who give tons of cash, tons of money to the state of Israel for the purpose of bringing young Jews on this trip to Israel to connect with their Jewish heritage. It's like the most glorified version of JewDate.net. And they handpick these beautiful Israeli soldiers. They bring over all these young American kids,
They don't
and they're
pick
like,
beautiful people.
they're like, okay, guys, you know what to do, right? It's
They don't.
JewDate.net/Ela Kleiners. What up, Ela Kleiners? It's kind of a strange thing. This you need to
Yeah.
be Jewish because it is very Zionistic. It's very like racial, right? But I didn't care about the Zionistic thing. I don't think anyone there really does. They're just like, oh, a free trip to Israel, something that I could never afford and something that sounds really great. So anyway, we're on Birthright. I'm in Israel. I'm super anxious. I'm not really getting along with people that much. I'm really in my head. I feel like crap all the time, but I'm trying to do my thing. And the soldiers, Ela soldiers, they join after a couple of days. We've already been there. And there's this girl that is flipping tall and beautiful, and she's got these huge blue eyes, and I was like, what? And she's got like black hair that like is in a crazy contrast to her blue eyes. And I'm there like in the corner, like minding my own business, and I'm like, is anyone seeing this? Is anyone seeing this shit? Right? No. I was like, damn, is anyone seeing this shit? Or I'm looking around like, I was probably at my fattest point then. Mm-hmm. And I had like a beard. I didn't shave. Do you remember that? I looked like a Hasid almost. I was like a mess. I felt like, I don't know how I looked, but I felt like at my most all-time unattractive ever, right? I just felt like compelled to try to approach her and speak to her. Because I'm sitting here like, no one else is like looking at this. And I'm like, you guys seeing this or what? It's like there's like a fat, like freshly baked like chicken, and it's dank and it smells good. It's on the table and everyone's just walking by, and I'm sitting and there's like this bomb ass chicken.
You could say like ice cream, like white chicken.
And I'm like, anyone seen this? And everyone's walking by like they don't smell it and shit. And I'm like, no one wants to bite of this? Kind of a strange analogy, but it works for me. So I felt like at my most disgusting, and in my headspace, I was at my worst in my whole life. And I just felt like I need to talk to this girl. There's something about her. You had this cool thing where you were kind of like an outsider. You were quiet.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like you were also kind of an outsider.
Yeah.
And that's why we both kind of like sense that outsider.
Yeah.
Outsider
We're
club.
that cool ass kids, breakfast club.
A club of two people who don't belong anywhere.
That's true. That's so true. I do feel like that still to this day. We were with a group of about 40 people, and this photo pretty much represents how I felt at the time. It was a hot, muggy Israeli summer day, and we were planning a trip to Jerusalem. and among other things, a trip to the Holocaust Museum. It's honestly quite beautiful in the northern part of Israel. The landscape and architecture is so different there, it was really interesting to see. But honestly, the last thing I expected to find up there was the love of my life. The first day we were in Jerusalem, you guys joined in. Yeah, we were on our way to the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. Yeah.
And then I remember at the museum was the first time we like
caught eyes.
Or
like, what up? No, I was watching you like fresh baked chicken. I was like, oh.
I don't like being a chicken.
I was like, yeah. We were eating like pizzas outside.
Yeah.
Which was like sealed the fate. We were eating like Papa John pizzas outside the Holocaust Museum, and I think that was the first time we caught eyes. And I was looking at her like,
okay, no more chicken.
No, I'm kidding. But I remember looking over at her and she caught her like dead in the eyes, and I was like, oh, cool. She knows that I exist. I thought that was dope. And I think we went into the Holocaust Museum and we're like trying to peep that out, trying to get the experience and stuff. And I didn't know what compelled me, but I felt like that was an appropriate time to approach you. Mm. Something about the Holocaust Museum was just like, this is appropriate. This is the right time to say what up.
Yep.
I think I went up to her and I said something like, how about all these Jews, huh? Am I right?
Really? I don't remember.
No, I didn't. I think I said something like, they had it coming, don't you think? Something like that. No, I didn't say anything like that. I wonder if you would have laughed, though. They had it coming, don't you think? But I was compelled. I had to talk to her. And we started talking, and just like, it was kind of just like chummy. Very chummy.
What's chummy?
Like old friends, right? You chum, right? You chummed? We chummed.
We chummed, apparently.
We definitely chummed. I remember the first time, like, I pushed myself to come say hi to you, and I was so nervous. I was so anxious about it, and I had, like, thought about what I would say or how I would approach you, and I was so in my head, and everything was making it way worse. But I knew, just like the same thing when I was like, I have to do this trip. No matter how bad I feel, no matter how I don't want to take the easy route and just not do it, I have to do this. I have to do this. I had the same mentality when I saw you there. I was like, I don't want to do this. It's extremely uncomfortable, but I have to do this. And I went, and I felt horrible. It was super scary. And I just went up to you, and I was just like, hey, dude, what up? I'm Ethan, whatever, right?
It's funny to think that something can be so like terrifying in your head, where I was probably just as nervous as you were to talk to anyone,
Yeah.
So it's funny how you build up in your head.
I remember I bought you a guitar. You remember that?
Yeah.
I was playing guitar. I had learned how to play guitar.
We got it at the Shuk in Yafo.
Yeah, we bought it from some like gypsies for like $10. Mm-hmm. I bartered hard for that boy. I didn't have much money back then. $10, that was a huge investment. It's still in your room in Israel.
Yep.
And it sounds like shit.
Yep.
As it should, for $10. But I used to play guitar back then for the soul. I used to play guitar for you all the time.
You did. We used to talk on Skype, and at night I would talk to Ethan until like really late, and my parents would always freak out, like, what are you doing there? And sometimes they would play guitar and I'd just fall asleep with my headphones on.
Dude, we used to make some sick ass music for you. I used to play guitar I guess the only reason was to meet a girl, because the moment that Ela moved in with me, I stopped playing guitar and I haven't played since.
That's true.
I was like, mission accomplished, boy. I get to retire this guitar forever. There's this one song that I wrote for you back when you were in Israel.
It's actually a really good song.
It's probably the only good song I ever made. But I used to play for you all the time on Skype.
Yeah.
later, she came back and moved to LA, and the rest is history. And then we started selling drugs. As you guys know that story, but that's pretty much where that leaves off. But for me, the real moral of this story is like, I had 2 opportunities to say, this makes me very uncomfortable. I'm going to take the easy escape to avoid putting myself through this really uncomfortable situation. The first one was going altogether because I had generalized anxiety disorder and I couldn't bear these social interactions like this. It was so hard on me. And the second one, just as hard, was just approaching you to begin with. And these two things that I really didn't want to do, but I forced myself to do, changed the course of my life, like completely and forever. And in my life since then, like I always look at these opportunities of things that I don't want to do as like, what is it worth these moments of awkwardness, of uncertainty, of discomfort for the potential that it holds? It sounds obvious, but how many times in your life, and in mine too, I've done it so many times, where you would rather take the easy, comfortable route than be confronted with some kind of change or friction or challenge to yourself? Always take it. Always take it. My life has changed completely and for the better 1,000,000 times over. God, I don't even know where I would be if we never met. Like, I'm dead serious. You have been nothing. You have been a tsunami of good fortune in my life. Like, ever since I met you, my life has taken a turn for like the best. And I swear to God, when I met you, well, you guys saw where we are with the red pepper. I was waiting tables. There was no prospects. And from the moment, like, we were writing books, we were making videos, I was writing songs. Like, all of a sudden, like, just taking the chance to come and say hi to you, like, changed the course of my life. And seriously, it's a lesson that I've always held.